my name is Aksik, aka Annika, and welcome to my channel. And I thought we might work a little bit in this book today, because we already started a couple of images here. So why not carry on with, for example, this one a bit. What we did in one of my previous videos, which was how to do texture and backgrounds with felt tip pens, is that we did this foliage and those tree trunks and then dabbed them with wet sponge. I used, I think, that sponge, if I remember correctly. Doesn't really matter. So I thought we might carry on do the grass, because I want to kind of take the green outside those sketchy lines as well, and do the stone wall and stones at the same time. Kind of a quick work. So I have a bunch of, well, I think I have a couple more Tombos, but I don't have many of them. But I have this set of gray ones. So I thought I might take first the darkest one I have, which is, what's its name? Cold Gray Silver, fancy name. And I'm going to scribble. I just putting in texture into the stones. No need to be particularly tidy or organized about it. Just make sure that you have, essentially I'm putting down shadows. I might even want to find something a bit darker than that. I'll see how I feel if I have all the colors down and I still don't feel that it's has enough shadow. The more randomized or uneven the lines are, the more natural the final result looks, because they're not bricks, they're not man-made. Those are rocks that nature has formed through millions of years, or hundreds of thousands, whatever. So they're going to be textured and uneven and have some unexpected shapes. So I'm making this one dark and this one, and I'm making the ground dark here. And now let's find some other color. There's this cool color called Cold Gray Medium, but it has undertone. It's actually, to me, this one looks darker, so I'm using less of it, and I'm putting it where the most shadows would be, you know, where the most overlap is. And with the stones, the big stones here, kind of near the ground, or where the other stone is casting a shadow, or the tree. Okay, yeah. I want some more here. This one is going to be dark because it's very much in shadow here in the corner. And now we take something called Cold Gray Light. So basically we at the moment staying very much in the same hue, very much similar. This one has more kind of a purplish undertone, which adds a bit of interest. And we don't add it now to all the stones anymore. Now we're just adding texture to random stones here. And I'm also going to might take this warm gray light as well, just to give a slightly different tone to some of the bricks and stones. Change it a bit. I think I have to make that darker. There should be more shadow here. Yeah. Okay. Once again, you know, dot some in, scribble some in. Technically you could like leave it like this, but you know, it will look a little bit cooler if you do it. Now I also want some kind of like mossy tones in it. So I have these 3 really nice colors of connector pens, but you have to be careful with them because the nibs aren't great. The nibs are scratchy and they can damage your paper, so don't put them everywhere, but kind of, and scribble, don't do straight lines or kind of an even. This one needs to be scribbled on. Okay, we have the mossy, as much as I'm going to use that one, I think, down. Now I'll use the other color here, which is even more kind of brownish, but still has green undertones. Okay, so as organic shapes as you can, and to get uneven and organic shapes, the good way to achieve that is to hold the marker from fairly far away, so you can't really control it, get too tight with it. Which I'm going to put some dark color down here under the tree roots, because there's going to be darkness there where they should be, and I want them to be there. So slightly different color. Okay, now, and a little bit of this, which is literally green gray and a very dark olive, dark warm olive tones. Actually, it's not really olive, it's a bit too brown for olive, and it's quite dark. So once again, and don't get too neat with it, just toss it down. And now I want the grass behind here, I'm going to kind of scribble it in. So what color am I going to use? I don't want to go too dark, but I want to get some darks in. So this is pretty nice grass color. I might use that one. Yeah, gives a nice mix. And no, that doesn't really feel grassy for me. What I'm going to do is probably take this really dark one and add a tiny bit of that in some bits to kind of add some darkness behind that. Yep, or maybe that too. A bit harsh, but I already went pretty vibrant at the top, so I might as well toss these down as well. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start the lightest. That's Stabilo Pen 68. They have fantastic colors and very good ink, but the nib can be a bit of challenge if you're not used to. And I'm going to give it some texture as well. Oh, some like odd leaves and bits just in the air. And here, Shen. This is my dog, meet Shen. Shen, it's okay. Nobody's attacking us. It's just my daughter getting into her room. How dare she? She is a little mutt who is a rescue mutt, and she likes to sit with me. She has her own chair, well, chair and the small couch chair, and she's pretty much almost always here with me when I'm doing something. Okay, so now I'm going to add some odd blades of grass or whatever plants there are with a different color, and just to add interest and texture. And I'm also going to do this, add some other colors into that. I'm also going to toss these in. These are just to make it look more interesting and organic here at the bottom. And now let's go in with darker bits. So this one is very vibrant green, so we have to be sparing with it. And I'll keep it kind of at the bottom. And if they all bleed into each other a little bit, that is totally fine. That will actually look exactly like I want. You know, everything is a bit more organic and bleeding together. Nature doesn't have harsh edges. Not too many of them anyway. No. Here. And the darkest one, and the same story, I'm going to put it into very, very bottom in a little bit here to kind of add some extra drama. It's always nice to have a bit of drama. Oops, that went too high. Okay, that's okay, yeah. And here, because this bit is supposed to be pretty dark, there's not going to be much light there. Okay. And now that I'm looking at it, there's like, should be something in front, kind of a little bit of tone, something on the ground. So I thought I might use that Stabilo Power. Let's push it up a bit so you can see. I'm going to scribble, no even lines, because they will look unnatural. If you do it like this, you could almost leave it like this because it does look organic. But if you do like proper neat line, that just automatically looks wrong and kind of fake. Okay. See, broken lines. Yeah. Now, and maybe add something a little bit darker there as well, just to accentuate it. From the same Stabilo Power set. Just scribble lines to kind of create extra shadow here, for example, here, but this, the stones are overlapping and there's definitely going to more shadow there. And give some like a bit of dots and scribbles, just create a texture. Okay, so this one is going to be fine. And now we're going to take our beloved sponge. Okay, I might even take you a bit closer. Let's see. Wet sponge, paper towel, and let's start working. So make sure that the sponge is wet but not dripping. There's the difference between mess and fun textures. Okay, so let's start here. And it's all going to start bleed out a bit and become kind of blurry, which I want. I don't want harsh felt tip pen lines. I want kind of more blurry effect there at the back. Okay. So, and just keep dabbing. I have to rinse it just to make sure that I won't make a mess. Dry my side of my hand again. You can see how the plants are starting to kind of bleed and blur already. I'm going to give otherwise the tree is going to get a harsh line now because I put some water into it. So I'm just going to take the water up to make it more natural looking. I just realized that I had missed a couple of bits of the tree trunk when I was doing the tree. So I pulled out these two Crayola Colors of the World markers, which I think was the ones that I used. To be honest, I don't remember. It's the very deep rose and light medium rose. I can see kind of pinkish undertones there, but as I said, I might be wrong. And utter scribble. So oh, that one should be fine, and this one here should be fine too. And I give tiny bit of this to kind of give some different undertones. Am I missing any more of the tree trunk anywhere here? I do not think so. So now I'm just going to go in with a sponge again. I'm trying to be here fairly tidy because I don't really want it to spread too much. I might have put too much pigment down, but it is in the shadow as well, so it's fine. It's fine, it's fine, it's fine. It's going to be fine. Here you go. Oops. Don't want to create a blob here, so rather go more into it. Yeah, that's gonna be fine. That's gonna be fine. Now, for time being, I'll have to leave it alone and wait until it dries a bit. The stonework has developed now. It's the next day, and I'm going to get a bit closer to the camera. You can see how everything is blended together. I actually threw in a little bit of extra gray water-based marker there as well because it was even more blended than it is at the moment. But you can see how now it gives an effect of blurry greenery behind those grasses, and you can still see a little bit of grass texture. So what I want to do with this one, and I colored the house in as well and everything here with water-based markers, and this time I used these ones. They used to be, they're Uhuhu. They come in packs of 24. There's really pale, medium, and vibrant set. I'm not sure if those are available anymore. They used to be kind of like Uhuhu's answer for Tombow, because they have this Tombow-esque tip like this. It's really nice tip. Pretty much works the same, and I love the fact that they have all those pale and muted colors. So if you can get hands on these, I'm not sure if you can anymore. This is the vibrant set, and where's my medium set? Here in my little cart next to me, and I think this is the medium set, or I might, no, actually I would have to check which one is medium and which one is pale. Between these two, what would you say? I think this one is medium and this one is pale. Anyways, so I colored the house in with these colors and did a little bit of blending, but only with the same markers. I didn't put any pencils in there yet. So what I was thinking about this is that I don't want to put much elaborate pencil work into it, because it's by its nature a very sketchy image, so it's more so give it kind of like areas of color, kind of, you know, dots of color or splashes of color, and, you know, pretty much try to leave it as organic as possible. But I do want to add some pencil to some spots, which I think could benefit from it. The first thing, I think I'm going to leave the foliage as is. I don't think it needs pencil work. I will add a little bit. Now, the pencils I'm going to use, this is, okay, this is how I store them. Those are Brutfuners, but they're not the Brutfuners that everybody has nowadays, you know, the ones that come in huge sets, 560, whatever, that have, I think they have capped tips. These ones are the oldest, the cheapest Brutfuners that they come and still do in a pack of 160. They're like plastic, almost like a suitcase with snaps that it comes in, which is really awkward for storing, and I don't really want to waste a pencil case on them, because I only pull them out if I want something, a fairly hard pencil that doesn't pick up the texture of the paper much. And here I want exactly that. I don't really want rich shading. I want some color and texture. So what I'm going to do here, the first thing, I'm going to use their black. And I actually have an extra pack of these packs of blacks. And I also, okay, so here's my wonderful magic doll. A lovely picture. I'm going to add a little bit to the roof here and to the stonework here. So I don't know if you want to get a little bit closer. Let me see. Here we are, a little bit closer. So I'm just adding tiny bits. I'm not being very tidy about it or precise. Just add splashes of darkness, or how you would call that. Kind of, you know, so there's a little bit of shadow. And I'm not, you know, usually with blend pencils, I would be kind of doing it in circles and trying to stay smooth and tidy. I'm not really trying to do that here. As I said, the nature of this line art is that it's pretty sketchy. So I'm trying to hold on to that feel of the image. I really like that image. Kind of like children's story, a tree house. It's cute. And here we go. And here, well, I'm going to give very little here. I'm not trying to. I did bang up the paper a little bit here. You can feel if I put the paper, the pencil into it, you can see how it's, you know, the texture of the paper has been damaged because I put so much marker and water onto it. Okay, so now I'm going to add the same black a little bit in some little spots to the tree. And as I'm not going to do full shading, the colors already there, they kind of hint the shading already. So I'm just going to toss in some extra little shadows and bring out the branches that are a bit lost here, like this one. It's almost blended in. So tiny bit of darkness and shadow. See, you don't have to be very organized about it. You don't need to do proper blending, have, I don't know, 3 different pencils with the same colorway and play with texture. Texture is already down. Texture, kind of color variations we put down when we put down the water-based markers and activated them with the sponge. So now we just need to, we don't even need to, but I like to add a little bit of extra drama here, just a little bit. Okay, and I also want to give a little bit of extra shadow here in the corner. I'm going to come out afterwards with this, the brown, to smooth it out a bit, but I'm going to put some darkness in there because that's kind of, the light is kind of coming from this way, you can see. So this bit here should be kind of in shadow. Just a little bit shadow under the door because it's, yeah. And I'm leaving these bits mostly alone. Just let them be. I think I'm done now with the tree. I could, of course, you know, add more and more and more and more and just keep going. But that's a slippery slope because once I do that, I just keep doing it and I'm going to sit here for hours and shade it. And I don't want to do that. I really don't. So I'm going to leave that as is. Then I'm going to move to the stones. And now I'm taking that black, because the stones have also seen a lot of water and the paper is slightly traumatized. Well, not slightly, fairly traumatized. I don't really, trying to do big layers on top of it wouldn't be a great idea. But I'm giving it a fair bit of pressure and just putting some, I'm trying to keep the texture, so I'm not doing smooth little half circles here to give the shape. I'm trying to give an impression that those are natural stones. They're not bricks. So they're going to have odd bits of texture. So like make little color, like dots of black, kind of, you know, weird shadows in unexpected places. Then they look more natural. And you don't have to be tidy about that at all. And because you have all that color variations and texture and mild shadows already down from the that water-based markers and water applied with the sponge, you don't really need to do big blending here or big color. Everything is already there. Just put down the darkest shadow. That's it. So now we need, this is how I keep them. I find them the easiest to kind of, I put, you know, all the like earth tones and browns in one rubber band. You know, there's purples and violets here, pinks and reds, oranges and yellows. It's easy to find them like this. Then you just spread them out like this and you find exactly what you need. And what I'm looking for is warmish brown, which in this case is, okay, let's check it out. I do not, well, I used to have a swatch for them. Yeah, that's exactly what we need. You just look at the, most of the pencils, like you should be able to look at the lead and realize, you know, see what color you're working with. So what we are doing with this pencil is, I already added some here now, is the bleed here of the green onto the roof fascia or whatever we call it. We put more shadow underneath it and bring it in some bits as well, kind of like, and not uniform shape bits, like, oh, it looks like the foliage is slightly in front of the roof. So that's how you saved that bleed into the roof. Let's try it with this bit here as well. See, there's another bleed here. And as I said, I kind of wanted them because that actually makes things look cooler. So I'm going to accentuate that with this dark brown. And you can save a lot of times bleeds or little mistakes like this by making them a feature. And now it actually looks cooler because it looks like the green, the foliage is actually in front of the face of the house a bit. Okay, so that's done. I can't see any other spots like this. Oh, here I put some black down. So I'm going to blend it out with brown here in the back. Yeah. So because that's kind of like behind the house. And I may put black down for extra darkness. I put that brown to kind of soften it a bit. Okay, so we're done with this. As I said, I'm not going to go super complicated here. So now I need some greens. All that foliage here, it looks cool, but I want to add some grass. So what would be the good colors here? See, that's how I go through them in my hands. Okay, that color looks like it's good. Yep, that will work as grass. That one work? Yeah. Always, especially when you're doing the grass, a little bit of color variation always makes it look more natural. See, this is very similar to what I have there in my roof. I might use that a little bit afterwards. This is not only that 160 set. That set only had, also had, I think it was 80 set or something, which had more pastels and kind of a like skin tones, and I got that one as well. So I find it a super handy for that sort of a work where I don't want the pencil to have much texture at all. Okay, something bright. I'm gonna take that one. Yeah, that should be fine. I got carried away looking at them. Okay, so starting with the lightest. So what am I going to do? They're luckily nice and sharp. I like to keep them, and I'm going to go different directions here. And always remember that grass doesn't just grow one direction, okay? There's blades going higgledy-piggledy. So, and they're not same length either. So I'm just going to give it a little bit of extra texture here at the back. Kind of. And here at the front as well, it's not very visible, but this hint of color can help to pull everything together and kind of like this gray here looks like there's in the background maybe some stones that are kind of out of focus. Okay, that's enough of this color. So I'm going to take that one, do kind of the same thing. And can also do some little dots onto it. You know, there's might be a little some grasses that have kind of like heads on them. So just add a bit of texture here and interest. Make it look okay. That came too strong. push too hard. No, keep it going in different directions, different lengths, different angles. Sometimes it's good to have, you know, some kind of just, you know, bending a bit in the middle like this. And now we'll take the last one, which is kind of more olivey or more natural looking green. And I'm keeping that giving some extra depth to the bottom here. Now, I think that's grass done. Is there any place else I have forgotten? I don't think so. I don't think so. That should be all right. And should I give a little bit of a shading here at the front? Like this? Tiny bit of, just bring it out tiny bit. Not making a big song and dance about it, but just a little. Keep the pencil basically sideways when you're doing it. This way you get the smoothest result and the biggest layout. And you won't get, you know, weird lines like this. Yeah, that kind of deepened that a bit. So I'm going to stick them back into my beautiful, very organized, very high-end storage system. And this pencil I found, I'm going to try. It looks very similar to what I already have here in the house. So maybe just kind of deepen slightly the shadows. I'm not sharpening it because the paper is already annoyed with me here. So I'm keeping it dull so it would traumatize the paper less. And here underneath the roof, that's where I mainly want it. Okay, and bring it down slightly so it softens. Yeah, that should be fine. And I actually forgot about something when I had the brown out. Okay, pulling out another brown. That should be fine. That should be similar to what I had. Yeah, similar enough. So here, just to give it a little bit of shadow, so it wouldn't look like it's coming out of this, it's actually behind. And maybe do, as I did that super rapidly last night, I didn't really blend there or anything, just to have blend out the shadow on the stairs a little bit so it would look a bit less rough around the edges. Yeah, and give it a bit of a shadow here. Yeah, that looks better. And this one here underneath, because it's under the tree, and maybe a little bit of a shadow to the door frame. I want to have a little bit of a hint of a sky around the tree and in the windows. But I don't want to do it with the pencils because I don't think it would really work very well. So I thought Neocolors would work well here. So I thought maybe these two. So these are blue cobalt, light cobalt blue, sorry, and turquoise. Okay. So I don't want it to be dark. I don't want it to be very distinctive. I want it to be kind of almost more of a hint of a sky. So I put a little bit of Neocolor here and here and here. And I think there might be some there as well. Okay, and there the just tiny bit. I don't want much pigment, and I want to preserve those interesting edges of the tree. So the laydown doesn't have to be very organized at all. Just get something onto the paper, basically. And now we take that turquoise and just add smidges of it. Not much at all. This is more of the same thing. This image is all about textures. So we put it in for kind of a bit of an interest. We don't just want blah, a bit of a blue. We want some variation in the sky as well, so it would look more interesting. But at the same time, we don't want it to start overtaking the image. Okay, so if I was an artist, I might even leave it like that, you know, but I'm not. I feel a need to smooth it out a bit. Oops. So let's get I took my tired and frayed Derwent water brush, which is really good for that sort of a stumbled, or kind of, you can see what sort of a blend it's going to be. Come on, get going. It doesn't want to get going for me today. Okay. It needs to be pretty, you know, nice and wet. Yeah. Yeah. So we start from here with the bottom and we move from outside in. So we basically start from totally white paper. We are going to be careful about the green, and we just bring it from the white to the blue and maybe give it a bit of a dab like this. Yeah. Starting from the white, get it wet and dab. And this bit here, just let's touch it very gently. And here too, just a hint of blue. As you can see, we're not, okay? It's not going to be strong result at all. It's more going to be just that little subtle finishing touch that brings the image together, at least for me. Like, I felt that something was needed there in the outside. I can't just leave it as it was. So I want to, once again, I'm bringing it all in. Okay. And of course, let's say that image was done with alcohol markers, then you wouldn't have to be that careful at all, because you wouldn't activate the greens if they were done with alcohol markers. Sometimes the background, or you know, doesn't need to be super complicated or super strong. Bit of a hint of something is often more effective than big swathes of color. And I'm often not very good at, you know, realizing that or actually acting on that. I tend to make my backgrounds very strong and vibrant. Whereas I like that subtle effect a lot. And it'll become even more subtle because at the moment the paper is wet, of course, so it looks darker. But it'll calm down even further. And it's going to be just a little hint of something. I gave it blue here, so now it looks nice. And now I think that helped. And now we're going to do the windows. And with the windows, we kind of want to preserve those swipes here to make it look like glass. So you're being very gentle. You go over the lighter areas first, and then just dissolve very, very gently the darker ones. Yeah. So now you still have the glass effect. All right, I think that's pretty much it. I need to bring in possibly a fine liner. That's mostly finished now. So what I'm doing now is that rope is still uncolored, so I'm just putting in some color with fine liner. The only fine liners I have are the Staedtler ones. They're Fine Plus, Tri Plus fine liners, and they are fantastic. They are really good. I might have fine liner tips in some of the water-based markers as well. No, don't really use them much unless I'm actually using that set of water-based markers. So I'm leaving white areas as well, so it wouldn't totally blend. That's it. I think it came out pretty cool. It'll change a little bit, you know, the sky or the blue in the background once it's totally dry. It'll become even more subtle. But I think it's cute. Really sweet image. Okay, that's this image finished. Thank you all for sticking with me. If you stayed that long, I very much appreciate it. And hopefully we'll color together soon again. If you like my channel, feel free to like and subscribe. And until new meetings, see you soon. Bye bye.